I eat bear like this. I eat bear like this. Raw form gnashed into molar paste. Sinew stripped of blood. Sinew stripped of bloodshot iris contracting his wave, contracting his schism. The man on television comes on in his white tooth suit. Crucifixion is the final pain of sin. Arms spread, eyes shut, mouth wide. A miniature Jesus smokes his last joint at a nexus of trunks. I eat bear like this, like this, like this whole planet's going to explode as popcorn kernels in a vat of cum. It's the will of God. A badger on a unicycle circles the stage and defecates on a communion plate. I eat bear like this, like the rawness of a wound can peel paint from signs. Only trust the written word. The letters spell reprieve from culpability, from the maw of the martyr eating sacks of eggs. I eat bear like this, like the man is back with a knife. He cuts his tongue. I have tasted the last. Electro blood splatters unchecked eye, splatters the teeth in the first 2 rows. He is sorry for his devotion. I eat bear like the end is stones in a world of stream. I eat bear like the tailor can mend without a seam. I eat bear like gangrene ghosts can pierce the septic night. I eat bear like stained glass mind is only solid light. The dim draws in, palm becomes fist. I eat bear like this, like this. This is Letter to a Future Lover. The remarkable thing about the creases of this envelope is not to be found in the part that you lick, but in after, when everything tastes like minty paste, the way a macaron can be chalky, or the way we would put metal to our tongues to see who could last longest on schoolyard days, where the recess teachers would scream for us to get down from the monkey bars that held our hands until we grew tall enough to leave for older pleasures. The funk of a good cheese, a younger self would say, "You too," and wait for ice cream. A pigeon waiting for the sacraments of after a wanderer decides to share the little that fits in the pocket of jeans you couldn't afford. But they mask the way you walk awkwardly, like an elephant born 3 weeks too early, learning how to lope in the brush of a narrow paradise, covered in grasses I've never known or seen, except in the reds, blues, and greens of the TV when I should be sleeping. But I'm thinking of a letter I want to write to you in the dark of an emptying bedroom, whose weight is so many stones in a bucket I carry to the post office to send anywhere but here. This is Somewhere in the Ocean Sinks a Schizo. Life gasps beneath telephone cord. The tongue inherits teeth from silence. The quiet of halos hung in trees. Please, it's all I have. Half a form in milk-white womb. A tomb bears nothing but a name. I've heard that God lives in bill-draught swamps, that chaos dwells in polysemy, that it's unnatural to be a prophet. But hear these words. Haunted isn't a state of being, but a happening. It's happening now, and I'm all moon. Light borrowed from not enough and far too soon. This is Deboning Perch. If you remove the bones from your hand, you get a glove that can droop inside a pocket, signal the lack of marrow and the absence of skin meeting skin, like a well devoid of water for 3 years. So you caught rain in buckets to wet the mouth that words things into being a kind of vessel, left in fields to scare transcendence from stalks of corn bent by the UFO you saw when you were 11 and thought that planes could take us anywhere, that a body could stay afloat in backcountry ponds full of perch eating blooms of algae, that green hooks and stifle the action of stripping away a home, bubbling with what could have been, like a cartoon on TV pulling a comedian off stage when the set falls flatter than the penny you put in the press at the amusement park full of tar and lights that wink childhood into adolescence, into cars with lovers where you met beneath the shade of an oak that held disillusion for an afternoon because you were not meant for each other, like 2 North Poles harboring gifts meant for someone else, whose hands reach out, bones and all. This is the radioactive Wonder Boy. Are you happy? I'm happening in two spaces at once. Jump when they call you, it's all you've got. A worn down robe and another shot. It's hot in the lights of vivisection. The inflection is natural, but it's unnatural to be this way and say what you're thinking. A heat-seeking bomb set to stun. They're stunned to see your face, unhinged eyes blank. Thank you for showing me. I see fever, I write sick. The pit broke crust on loosening teeth. I'm underneath here, adjust here, 30 degrees and a mound of bees. See, it's fracture, it's fallen as future. A shooter, unmasked, life drawn. This one is for you, for brittle-nosed doctors biting back alchemy. Sit next to me. Tuesdays they bring jello, Thursdays they bring bile. Just smile, act like you've been here before. Before isn't memory, but erasure, but I'm not sure. I do know this. If you're biting on the bullet, best not miss. Don't miss. Don't miss. This is a tiny blue dragon in the cupboard. A blue dragon sits atop a jar of tomato sauce in my cupboard. It is covered in cinnamon, cardamom, spice, smoke, an ember amidst pasta and instant mashed potatoes. The creature scuttles across cans of soup, stale bread, finally launching itself onto my shoulder. What does one do in such a situation? I look over at the angular face of microfear, a mix of amusement and terror when encountering things like small ghosts or werewolf puppies. But its legs sneak themselves beneath my cheek, nuzzling the scruff of days without a shave. Perhaps dragons behave more like poodles than chickens with teeth. There are many things I'm unsure of, the meaning of dragons, the light in the church. The blue mound curls along my collarbone and slowly winks itself to sleep. I do not know where we go when we dream, or when we go in unending sleep. I reach into the cupboard and grab a sack of pecans. I read somewhere that dragons enjoy tree nuts as well as flesh or bone. Curious, I plant one near its slumbered maw. A snaking tongue emerges beneath waking orbs of orange, swallows it whole. I can only hope that what I plant can grow into something that will outlast me, rise above me as dragons over so many myths. This is hallucinatory experiment number 39. Reaches the surface, blood in a furnace, hurt us, we haven't felt before. And before we dive in, let's begin with a sermon about spiders dangled over fires, expires in the manner of fleas. Seize this moment, you own it, atonement, alone and followed around the block. Clock ticking in the music of breathing bone, phone masking face like measured feet. Eat what's before you, the body and wine. You'll find some solace in the way bread can bleed like a steak. Carnivore that you are, a scar signifies the inside of a ride about falling or being felled. Celled like mitosis, prognosis bleak, a leak can bloom into something itself into shelter. Most of us become water this way. A cloud remains transcendent, dependent upon the climate of consignment stores selling sweaters in the middle of July. The sky is mostly birds, if you know where to look, at the origin of a single point. Anoint your wells with pipes where water rushes between our homes. And before we begin, let's start with a sermon where two or more of us together lightens a veil. This is Portrait of Divorce as a Path to Love. Look at the way the light lays itself over the branches I cut last week, because they were toying with the gutter like a lazy cat playing with a beetle in the middle of July. When the sun comes a little closer, in the way a scorned lover will lean when there's a whiff of reconnection or intersection at the place you used to get coffee on 5th, after they let you out of the hospital when maybe they shouldn't have drawn so much blood because you started to look like a caricature of a mental patient wandering around with an IV full of salvation or saline dripped from tiny packets in the wings-locked bathroom. where doctors and nurses laughed about the latest noise or phrase that came from the mouth of someone like me, at the coffee joint where I order a plain black coffee, burn my tongue, and trip over a branch that looks like the river we used to float down on Saturdays. When no one could tell us about the dangers of the current that sucked on our toes like the vacuum cleaners we used to buy because we couldn't seem to not break them. And when it was me instead of a cleaning appliance, you ran into the arms of another lover in the space I couldn't bear, like the time you asked me to change, as if oil dripping from mechanics. A 19th century painting full of stars whose light I never saw until you left me to drown in something you couldn't understand. The absence of branches filling the sky with more light than I deserve. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Trump sound bites. They're kind of fun because they're like wackadoodle. This is an erasure poem from a Trump soundbite, the one where he's specifically talking about nuclear energy and immigration, and I'm not sure how those overlapped. But yeah, this is Schizo Hears a Message Through the TV. You know, if I ran, it would say I'm a number. That's why I always start here. This fortune I give because we're disadvantaged. Nuclear. Bother me. It would be so easy. My uncle explained to me many years ago the power of what's going to happen, and he was right. When you look at the messenger, you know they don't. You know they just killed. They just killed. Okay, and then this last one is the title poem from my working manuscript, American Schizo. Warning shot, 1, 2, 3, it's me again. Cinderblock shotgun, shattering shuffle run. Done is land without escape. Escape again, arm cut like canvas, face gaunt like haunted. Vaunted heartbeat up and down, and flat effect affects the cost of care. Not a price paid in coin. Crazy's not that simple. A pimple will pop, but the brain will fester. A gesture of Zaprazidone, an eater of drug. Where bugs live beneath the skin, I'm in a nation of zealots again, where hands reach out, but only when there's God. I hear him more than you, this nation of bodies built for a rifle, kids under bridges, families stifled, our anthem a single shot into blackest night. So fight again, fight for those without a voice. A choice is 2 parts guts, no parts but. 1 part love for self, for others. The others can't talk again, oh nation. Forsake us again, let us in again, oh nation, we're still your kin, still your sins of grace. God is good, God is great, here's a plate, no table for the unstable, or brown or broke, oh nation. How long before they come for someone you know? Will your chest grow 3 sizes that day? Say, oh nation, that relation is law, that flaw in your eyes isn't set in stone, atone again. Straight jacket, wrap up, chain chatter, shut up, alone, again, dear nation. A broken mirror reflects all the same. A stain can be pure. You're so sure of what makes an American. Pistol pious, picket fence, increased rent, back bent from weight rot from 1%. Again, see. Salvation is a station all your own. Your own, bleed fast. You can't change the past. Own it all the same. Reframe the story again. Let us in again. Red, white, and blue like you again.